Alright, hello everyone, my name is Disc. I'm a title healer from the War Within, and this is a level 12 Pit of Saron. It is with a partial group of mine, so it's pretty good. We're in Discord together coordinating. That is kind of the best thing you can do these days with PI, is just have someone in Discord with you to help coordinate and maximize that. And I'm going to try and keep this intro short, but before we start, please give some engagement on the video. I'd really appreciate it. We're doing great starting this season out, so give a comment, like, and a subscribe. Check me out on Medify for some private lessons. Great way to support the channel, great way to grow as a WoW player. And in the spirit of keeping things short, let's just go right into the talents that I played for this key. So being that this is a 12, I wanted to sample Oracle, see how it's doing. I've had some requests to see Oracle, and now that we're branching into 12s, I don't have tier, so I don't have any gear. I'm going to try out Oracle, go a little bit more defensive rather than worrying about the offensive of Voidweaver. So speaking of defense, I'm taking Benevolence down here on the Priest side, and then over on the Discipline side, I'm pretty eager to see how Wheel and Woe pairs with Eternal Barrier, but in this key, that's not what I did. Full out on the Apex talents, but this is kind of one of those best of both worlds builds, where we're still going to play with our Torments, we're still banking into Expiation, but I have a handful of points still on the Holy side, so I'm indifferent about this. I guess I'm interested to see what other people think or what other people are doing, but I'm still taking Harsh Discipline, even though I'm not taking Will and Woe. Taking Holy Ray over Lenience. Might change that in the future. This is a big play to start using Shadow Mend. It is an incredibly good spot heal. You'd be surprised when it crits, you can top someone and not even believe it. But then the one point, chime in if you have any thoughts on this, but I've been using Encroaching Shadows over Painful Punishment. I think there's more to gain from it. I think you have to work more for it. So basically, like, I'm switching targets to find executes. That's my Shadow Fiend. But I'm also having to switch targets to find mobs with a dot for my penance. So it's a lot of work switching targets all the time. Painful Punishment might be a little bit easier on your rotation. But my thought is, more dots in the field is more damage and healing. More dots in the field is more Shadow Mends. More dots in the field is more play for Expiation. So I'm playing Encroaching Shadows. I think there's more to have from this, but a little bit harder to use. So yeah, in spirit of keeping this intro a little bit shorter, remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Check out my Medify for some private lessons and all of my import-export codes. And let's go ahead and clip over to the key. All right, here we go. PIs are going on my friend Theorize. This is my main tank. We're in Discord coordinating. And I'm finally starting to get some gear. Hallelujah. Not in this video, so stay tuned. But as Oracle, we're still playing some Torments. We want to play Evangelism on open. I'm also setting Skull with my focus to kind of help coordinate with the group. That is our play. PI's out, Evangelism. And one thing I'm noticing, switching targets for dot spread, switching targets again for dot spread. The more I'm playing Oracle, I'm not sure we're going to see it too much in this key. I'm spending more time just dotting. So you'll get to a place where your penance and your death are not up. And instead of smiting, I'm just making sure I fill in dots. Okay. Oh, I think we have a wipe here. I forget. And I've still not played uppies. We definitely want to get that out early. And I don't think we're going to see too much of it here yet either. Switch targets for dots. As Oracle, I think as any type of Discipline Priest, there is a break point where you're spending more penance defensively. And I'd actually probably say the higher the key, the more defensive penance you're going to have. A lot of curses in party, except we have no decurse. So potentially something to consider, have a decurser in your party. Go and execute, switch for dot spread. And also, you'll see it in my next video, I suppose. I brought in a buff tracker for Shadowmend to see when I have it and how many stacks I have. And I put it right above my spells. I think it's kind of nice to see that. I toyed with having it on and then I turned it off and now it's back on. I think it's good to see. PI and Evangelism. Switching my targets for dots. And I really think the Encroaching Shadows is the right play. If anyone else has thoughts on that, let me know. But I think if you're willing to play a little bit harder of a... Oh, ouch, should I cancel that early? If you're willing to play a harder talent, I think you get more out of Encroaching Shadows. You have to switch your targets a lot more. So when you're gripped by the bat, there are several spells out there that can negate it. Freedom is a good one. I think Bop works, Tiger's Lust, Rescue, Grip, do not. So here's a point we can talk about. So with this build I'm playing of Oracle, I'm not playing Wheel and Woe. So, whereas if you're playing Wheel and Woe, you're more incentivized to press shields, like after every penance. Without playing Wheel and Woe, I'm spending a lot less mana and globals on a regular shield. I just hold out for void shields. Okay, and in these pulls, this is a great place for extra executes. Wow, I didn't even go for him. Cringe. But, you know, we can still talk about it. A good rotation when you have executes in the field and evangelism is play evangelism as your opener, then get your execute, then your mind blast and penance. And in all of these pulls, we have really good opportunities for executes with those little mobs. And they do have very important kick mechanics. But our fear does not work. So you really have to rely on the group. And I hope my audio comes through okay in this video. Messing up a little bit in my editing software. Radiance into my Mind Blast. Gave a death to the bird. Ooh, lost my dot spread there. It's okay. So yeah, like in this moment right here, okay, I think I started doing it more. I've played more Oracle since this key, and there was a moment there where I had no penance and no death.
I simply wished you had lasted a little longer.
In a gap where I don't have any spells to play, I'm going to be spending that time dotting. I think you get more out of that rather than playing penance. I'm sorry, rather than playing smites. Setting you up for more expiation, setting you up for more Shadowmends, etc., etc. But I think my next video is going to be back to Voidweaver. Especially once I get tier set and everything, I'm excited to play with it. I have no set at the moment. Cringe. Okay, we have PI. There goes PI. dot spread here. Execute then penance for that torment. And pulls like this, I would say they're just time sinks. Depending on how your mana is, I really just try hard to play Mind Blast on cooldown. I look at it as buying a Shadowy Penance. Okay, that's crazy. So I got an execute there. It's always nice if you can get an execute before Mind Blast Penance, but it looks like we're still in the position where not every execute yields a pet. But that was, if you want to back it up by 5 seconds, that was the preferred rotation I was talking about earlier. Evangelism, Death, Mind Blast, Penance. Yeah, they mentioned it, I have to say, like a month ago. They changed the talent Shadow Fiend to always proc pets, 100% chance. And they added like a little line in italics that said, not fully working, will be updated in future hotfixes. But I'm still having successful executes not yield pets. That is not good. Everyone else liking Disc? What kind of alts are y'all playing? Okay, so I would say this boss is a heal check. There is constant sustained damage, and then it spikes, called the Cryo Stomp. You'll also notice, Hallelujah, Bigwigs is back in the game. Developers lifted an API restriction where we can edit our lists. I would say that is very important to do as a healer. You don't want to see everything. You just want to see timers that are important to timing your spells. Okay, so here's the Cryo Stomp we saw coming from a mile away. Not dropping my Void Shields. So you might have noticed Theorize is dead. He accidentally stood not LOS on that attack, and it got him. But Battle Res is coming up in 1 second. We just have to buy time, make sure we don't miss the recovery. I played my Desperate Prayer for this stomp. I'm not playing around. Getting our Dispels. Let's see how well we can pick up this recovery. We're still half health. I actually forget how it goes. I know we did fine here, but let's see. I'm also trying my hardest never to death without a dot. So I'm just redotting. Paints up myself. Evangelism. Dispel Mind Blast Penance. And I think this is the one type of fight where a strong argument can be made for painful punishment over Encroaching Shadows. So Encroaching Shadows, I would say, is more trash friendly, trash forward. Painful punishment is much more single target boss friendly. Defensive penance just to catch up a little. I'll push in. Okay. Yeah, so on a single target boss like this, I'm having to spend globals redotting also spend mana. Some would say bosses are where you should bank your talents for, probably. But the Encroaching Shadows does great everywhere except purely single target bosses. So like if it's a boss that has adds, perfect. If it's a 2-target cleave boss, perfect. But any boss that's purely single target, you're going to be spending more globals with Encroaching Shadows. I guess my take on it, one step further, is playing Expiation is just a playstyle that has you casting your dots more anyway. Defensive Penance. I have no mana, dog. That's the one thing about Oracle. It is very mana heavy. Okay, I set our focus target for the group. Also, we are all really loving not having affixes. Death, Mind Blast Penance, some free torments there. And you might have noticed in my talent build, I'm not taking Disease Dispel. This is a dungeon that needs that, I should have said it earlier, but we have Paladins, and they have opted into that talent and said I can reconcile it. I have Evangelism. Going in dots in this interim. That was slightly over dotting right there. I cast one more dot before my Mind Blast when almost every other mob other than my target had dots. Found an Execute. Found a dot for Penance. And then going into this boss, we have damage on open. Great place for Fade. Yep, played. We have PI. Right time with Lust. And we really just need to pump heals. Switch target for my Penance. And this is where you can see, as long as there are other nameplates in the field, Encroaching Shadows is fine. Like even on these totems, like I can Penance a totem, it'll refresh my dot on my boss. Looks like that's what I'm doing quite a bit. So I kind of look at this as just a damage phase, doing everything I can to pump, switching targets for the dot spread. Yeah, pretty much after every penance I switch targets. Let's see, I think I'm going to have an uppies in here somewhere. I'll put a couple dots out first. see how well I get this one. So that was a better uppies compared to the first one, which I think I canceled. But I had my dots out first. I dropped the Void Shield, cast a Radiance just to make sure everyone was atoned. I played a Penance on my way up. Not the best play. You only get one bolt if you do it that way. And considering I had a Harsh Discipline proc, maybe not the best choice. But one bolt is enough to trigger the Encroaching Shadows. So that was the idea. And if you've never heard me talk about it, pretty simple to maximize uppies. Play a spell on the way up and a spell on the way down. For example, a death on the way up after the cast before the channel, and a smite or a casted radiance on the way down. Okay, let's see how well we do here. So that's a rotation I'm liking a lot. Radiance into evangelism. Kind of the way I look at it is it's like a 300% strength radiance, kinda. Okay, do my best to keep dots active here. So, missing some dot spread, that's okay. I'll briefly talk about it. So if I radiance before my evangelism, it'll atone everybody. And then when I cast my evangelism, it's 150% heal. On top of people that are atoned, so that dips into our mastery. So the heal hits harder. So we have like 100% on the first radiance, 150 on the evangelism, plus let's say 20% mastery. Plus you get a double proc on your Harsh Discipline. Okay, I have our focus target selected for the group. I'm not too sure this mechanic, if anyone could fill me in here. I think this Lich guy has a mechanic that happens at 50%. Is that right? Okay. Death into Mind Blast Penance with 2 pets out. Love that for a rotation. Love those Shadow Mins too. I remember that. I think he got hit by ice. Levitate. And so Shadow Meld. I didn't realize it in the moment, but our tank had lapped me. He's already up there and I just didn't see it. So that was going to be an evangelism play. Going for some torments and damage, but you don't always get what you want. Okay, now we have the big one. Not too much to this guy either. Let me see if I can learn something though. He has an attack that damages the group. Not this one. Okay, so this is Cryo Burst. And then this next one, if anyone knows, is it a timed mechanic? Is it a percent threshold mechanic? Focus Guard. It's a group attack. It has to be just a timed mechanic. Please. So what did I miss there? Did he have a shield on? I almost trolled by going ahead of the group. I did not realize that mechanic does almost the full hallway. Noted. Discovery Waystone. I wish I could get rid of that.
Heroes, to me.
Intruders have entered the master's domain. Signal
Alright, this boss, I think we all know it by now. Not too much to it. We have one attack that's group-wide damage. I believe with Bigwigs I'm only tracking 2 of his spells. Yeah, Bone Infusion. So this is group-wide damage on Rip. This is one I'm tracking, I believe. It just is too far away to show. We can see this 2-target cleave in party. Great place for shields if you got them. Army in 20. Radiance myself, I was in a better position for the coverage. Okay, here comes the army. Great place for Fade too, to not be on the aggro tables. Move the darkness down. Alright, and now that we're going into the second round of the boss fight, that Bone Infusion is back up on our boss timers. This is the group-wide attack you want to time your heals on. Something like a Mind Blast would be great. Evangelism. Okay, I'm selected. Great place for a Desperate Prayer. I'm sure I play it. Let's see. Yep. I have Evangelism. I think I hold it for the army. So my Radiance fired off the tank. My tank healing macro. Then I Evangelismed off myself. Kind of just looks cool doing that. But yeah, it looks like I did not hold Evangelism for this phase, but we have Lust. Just won't have the Torments. Okay, there goes PI. I should have done Death into my Mind Blast Penance, but it looks like it wouldn't have mattered anyway. That was another death that did not have a pet spawn. Come on, Blizzard. And boom. So I'm having fun playing Oracle. It's just not as fun as Voidweaver for me. But I do plan to keep kind of bouncing back and forth on my channel depending on how important the key is to me for IO. I think especially once I get gear and tier set, I'm probably going to be sampling with Voidweaver more just to see where its limits are. But I pretty much feel like with either hero build, as long as you have Shadow Mend in your back pocket, you're pretty good and are comfortable with defensive penance and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Check me out on Metafy to level up your gameplay. And until next time, Disc out.